It's episode 33 of the Hype Pod. This is a special one because we're live from the Hype House at Amen Conference. And so
it's special.
I think we should just do
Can people heckle us through this?
Yeah, live heckling. Can we hear the murmur anymore?
Live heckling.
I don't know. They
just boo really loud.
They went super quiet on us.
Yeah. Okay,
There they are.
you can hear them.
Hanok is confused. He's like, he's trying to translate in German right now.
Real time.
We'll do live translation. We have AI somewhere.
There you
He's
go.
working on it. But I think we should do intros. We've never done intros before. I feel like nobody needs intros, but I'll just do
I think
one.
you need the intro.
Yeah,
This
it's more
is-
for me. It's more for me. It's more for me.
absolutely need an intro.
But let me just
Arun is not AI.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
a
not-
real
I'm
guy.
a real person.
Yes.
Um,
and that's a real beard, people. Look at this thing.
Oh, thank you. I don't know. What to
Impressive.
say. I'm very shy with compliments. I don't know.
You don't like it.
I don't like it. But like Pastor Adam, aka the Australian Eminem.
There we go.
That's the only reason I wanted to do an
my
intro.
God.
That's the only reason I wanted to do an intro.
The Australian Eminem?
The Australian Eminem.
Oh, because of his hair.
You wrote your joke.
I did. I wrote
You
that thing.
wrote your
There's
joke.
no other notes.
Why would
It's
you were
just
so...
The one thing on your page.
Australian Eminem.
Don't
Did-
screw it up.
Did
The whole thing.
ChatGPT do that one?
Yeah. I was like,
You
write
were
me a
so
joke.
excited.
Write me a
You were
joke.
so excited.
And then we have Pastor Vance, executive pastor at Vibe Church and the founder of Overflow. So.
Where's
That
his
was
No
joke?
joke. Yeah, no joke for
Where's
you.
his joke?
Yeah.
That's
You gotta dye your hair next
The,
time.
the caramel
The caramel.
Yeah.
latte. I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm the, you guys have a nickname for me?
Butter chicken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Butter-
fantastic.
butter
Yeah,
chicken.
fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
straight butter chicken.
And next time I'll find a food for you.
Is that factual or no?
But we've already had an intro by Katrina about Hype Membership,
Yes.
Hype Network.
Yes.
But do you guys want to give a quick pitch to the actual listeners later on about Hype Membership, Hype Network?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it real quick. We have this week got so many amazing people in the building and out in the Hype House, and I've been fascinated. Every year, I'm always fascinated talking to different founders,
Yes.
different growth stage developers and company builders who always ask me very similar questions, and I'm very kind. I like to help answer, but I'm just like, hey. You're gonna get this in the Hype Mob.
Yes.
You're gonna find this in the membership on a monthly basis, where it's not just a download. You get to have a team of people who are probably going through something you've been through, or you're going through, or you need some insight on. And I think we keep it super cheap. I mean, we keep it at a nominal. I think it's like $1,000 a year.
Yep.
I've been a part of all kinds of mentoring programs that have been $1,000 a session.
Yeah. Easy.
And we try and just keep it as cheap as possible because we want to kind of really invest in a startup ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, if you see value in investing in yourself, I would just say, hey, commit a year to growth.
Good.
Commit a year to developing what you don't yet know. I think that's always the fascinating thing is you want to invest in what's going to grow you, but what do you invest in that's going to grow you?
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't know what you don't know, you can look at maybe something like a membership. You're thinking about time commitment. You're thinking about parting with some finances. But at the end of the day, if you don't take that step, you'll still be at the same place a year later, not knowing what you don't know. So there's going to be a point where you have to actually make a decision to say, man, I'm just going to invest in me. I'm going to invest in my mindset, my understanding. And for us, out of all the networks, there's plenty of ecosystems, business networks to really be a part of a faith and innovation network.
Yeah.
People who talk your language, who have the same motivation as you do, is a huge advantage in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Pastor Vance, anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, it not just comes with kind of the monthly mentorship. We'll do it video. Actually, at Amen Week, we did it in person,
Oh, wow, cool.
which was really, really cool. But it comes with the members chat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a specific private chat that we all are on, encouraging each other, unlocking insights
Mm-hmm.
for each other, and then curated events, like Katrina was saying earlier. And so there's going to be networking nights, really FaceTime with some of our investor friends and things like that to bring unlock. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's
It
awesome.
It's fun.
And I want to add something really powerful that you said. It wasn't just people that are looking for like funding. It's builders helping builders, and everybody's like joining this network to help like grow the entire kingdom together. So I think it's a
That's
really
it.
cool network. Definitely join in. But I want to touch on Amen Conference Day 1. It feels like I'm interviewing you in like between quarters of like an NBA championship game. Like this is like your week.
Arun, where have you been? That's
Yeah.
what we want to know. That's what the crowd want to know. You've been MIA. You've been putting out fires. Is everything under control? Are
So
you okay?
I work in crypto. Crypto's
Yes.
not doing too hot right now, so I've been working hard to bring it back.
That's a different narrative than you've been pushing.
Yeah. But I've been working hard to bring it back.
All right,
So yeah,
that's right.
if you come to the Art of Digital Currency tomorrow,
Yes,
if you're here
doing
at
a
Amen Conference,
session.
I'll be talking about why I still believe in it.
Yeah, but President Trump believes in it.
Oh yeah, should we just jump right into the topics?
Go.
There's
I
a
don't know
debate
what to talk-
tonight.
Oh, yes.
Biden, Trump,
Oh my goodness.
or it's Trump and AI Biden. We don't know really.
I think it's
We really don't
definitely going
know.
to be.
I don't know who's coming, but
Look, it's going to be interesting,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to watch it live. I'm going to be listening to Pastor Henoch preach,
Right.
which is going to be way more beneficial for my soul.
It's true.
But I am going to record it, and I think Michelle and I discussed, we'll probably play it next week at our CP retreat, and we'll just
Yes.
really grow together. But I got to tell you, I think I have never, ever been more excited for a presidential debate than this one.
yeah, this one's.
I
Getting
think
a lot
I'm
of
just, as you said, I'm fascinated. How is Biden going to show up? What is it going to be?
Yeah.
I really am fascinated. I'll be honest.
What do you guys usually take away from these debates? Is it more for the spectacle of it, or do you guys actually feel like, when you watch previous presidential debates, you actually get something from it?
I mean, as far as policy, are you talking about policy?
Yeah,
or I think it's a display of personality. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. I think it's really, we don't get too much policy. There's always so much skirting around it, and it's going to be a lot of what I've done in my term, or what I've done in this term, or what you didn't do. And really, I think it would be great if it was hey, this is where I'm going to bring change. This is what we're going to do. I think by now, if you don't know where each candidate stands on policies, you haven't been paying attention. I just think this one is, do these two men have a cognitive ability to actually push forward, or is one of them actually a puppet being controlled by a group of people behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think people are very curious on competency and potential longevity, right? I think people are going to be less concerned about maybe even what they say
Yeah.
and how they carry themselves. And can we see this person lasting another 4 years?
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to be really interesting to see.
I don't know if did you guys listen to the All In podcast with Trump?
Oh, I did.
I did. Yeah.
Bro, that was
It
spectacular.
was really, really good.
That was a really good podcast.
It was actually a really good podcast.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it,
Yes.
highly recommend it.
It's almost as good as the high pod. But
It's
yes.
almost as good. Yeah, listen to this episode again and then listen to the
Yeah,
All In
yeah,
podcast. But he talked about a really cool policy change around students that get a college degree here and they'll get an automatic visa after the fact.
Bro,
I think that's like huge. I don't know if it'll happen.
He just won the election.
Yeah, I feel
I'm
like
telling you.
I don't know if that's you can promise a lot of stuff. Who knows what will actually happen? But that is like change that we need to see.
Look, you can promise a lot of stuff, but whether
Yeah.
it gets through the Senate or not,
Right.
that's a whole nother deal. But
Right.
honestly, that is a game changer. That is an absolute game changer, because for someone as an immigrant who had to go through the process, legally, and it is a very complicated process. It is not easy, but I don't believe things should be easy. I think some things are worthwhile going through that rigorous process to make sure that this great nation gets the best people in the nation. What becomes really strange is when the hard road, the pathway that is so difficult to get the best people are proven with a college degree and a graduation from some of the top tier colleges who can't then get a visa. That seems really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting because in the previous session we were talking about scale, right? And scale in and of itself is actually not the goal. Healthy scale is the goal. And so when you even think about policies like this, illegal immigration versus legal immigration,
Yeah.
right? One scales the country, right? Not in a healthy way. Another scales the country in a very healthy and vibrant way that can help fulfill the vision, if there is a vision for the country in the next leg, right?
Yeah.
And so these are the tools that we can use. And it was cool to hear him say that.
Yeah. And he brought up an example of there's a lot of these people that graduate, end up having these brilliant ideas. They can't stay in the country, and they'll go back to their home country, start the business,
Yeah.
and it'll be a huge
And help
business.
that GDP.
Right, exactly.
Instead of
And
this
so
one. Yeah,
there's no
for
reason
sure.
not to do it, right? And
There's no reason not to do it. I think it's also it's just an intelligent way to both advance the country and protect the country. I just don't know why it's such a weird idea that a country should desire border protection. To have ways to get in, gateways, doorways to get in, but to actually do it through a legal process. And so, I just think it's a really strange, even conversation. But do I think that the just creating a pathway for college graduates, I actually think another element I would love would be some kind of bureaucracy discipline where we can actually change some of the unnecessary red tape of the process. As a church, we do definitely do visas, and we apply for R1
Right.
visas for certain people to be able to even be here at conference. And man, the red tape that you have to go through is absolutely unnecessary in a lot of ways. And so just the simple delays, how unresourced I think Homeland Security is, I think that would be a really great policy push as well.
And that's why I love technology, right? Technology can solve this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And I actually have a friend that is in this space creating kind of a layer on top of the government process to be able to automate some of this paperwork. And so a lot of times we can get frustrated about things, but as entrepreneurs, we don't stay frustrated, right? Being frustrated means you're meant to fix it, right? Maybe you're called in that direction.
Yeah. On that topic, I want to talk about advancements in technology. So recently, so for people who don't know, my daily job, 99% of it is just browsing Twitter. So I'm on Twitter all the time. And what came across Twitter for me was this company called Cognify. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to build the prison of the future. So actual prisons, like physical prisons of the future using AI. And so what they're going to do is they're going to remap your memories with AI memories. And so the idea is they want to speed up the rehabilitation
So it's a
process.
rehabilitation.
Yeah, so for years of prison sentence, they can do it in minutes, and they can feed memories into your brain that'll change the way you think. And so I'm going to show you guys a clip, and for people that watch the pod, you'll get to see it. But I'm going to describe it to the people out here. If you've ever seen The Matrix, you know when Neo's waking up out of the pod? Yeah, that's what this looks like. And so the idea is instead of you have these giant prison cells, you have these people that can either opt in to a 10-year prison sentence or into this experiment. Well, by the time it comes out, it'll be real. But this idea of where AI is going is really, really, I've never seen this one. This one's really interesting. And so outside of the prison aspect of it, they're thinking that it could be used to help treat people with PTSD or if you have memory loss.
So hang on, catch me up.
Yeah.
And they're not cryogenically frozen or anything.
No.
This
not,
is
yeah.
like a literal, just a brain dump of new memories,
Not just, new memories that are...
erasing old memories.
They might not be erasing them. They're just remapping them. So they might be somewhere deep
So give me the
down.
concept on what the memories achieve.
So it's now, let's say I committed a crime. And so I saw it from my perspective. I can now get the memories of the victim's perspective. And so now I have all of that empathy in me. And so now maybe it changes the way I approach my life. And so these are all AI-generated memories that they'll be pumping into you. And so this is where technology is going. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's sick.
In a good way or a bad way?
No, I think it's not sick good. Yeah, I mean, look, this kind of stuff is so funny, right? Like, just brain manipulation is certainly a subject that is fascinating, especially when you're talking about Neuralink and you're talking about, computer processing thoughts, enhancements, human enhancements, all that kind of stuff, and being able to. I was hearing about the fact that they can map dreams now, and map what you dream. Now, who would want to map their dreams? I don't know, because dreams are crazy. Most dreams are terrifying, and it's like, hang on, I don't know if I want to rewatch that. But I think the idea of the possibility of thought and controlling. I think what's the name of the guy that had the first Neuralink test? Anyway, he's able to now actually control a mouse with a thought, not even just an action, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. But to not be able to decipher what is actually a lived experience and an implanted experience, that sounds like prison.
What's the goal of it? The goal of it is to accelerate the sentence so that
Yeah,
they
exactly.
can release them faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because then you
they're
can
rehabilitated.
Right.
because then you can judge that, okay, we can get them on parole earlier.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They have enough empathy now.
You have a second chance quicker than you would.
So you're suggesting that time produces empathy. So time in prison.
I think that's what they're suggesting, right?
That's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
oh,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
suggesting
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
time in prison produces a because they're sorry now. They've
Yeah.
had time to think back on their actions, and Is it they're empathetic or they don't want to do that time again? So if you could just do it in 10 minutes and produce the empathy, there's still no punishment because it was 10 minutes. It wasn't 10 years of your life.
But I think for them, it'll feel like 10 years because the memories are all going to be real it's going to feel like real memories that spanned across 10 years, but it's just downloaded in 10 minutes.
I just feel like you didn't age, but you got 10 years of experience.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
It doesn't feel like punishment. It
Right.
feels awesome.
Yeah, I know. I just thought about that. That could speed up a
I
lot
also
of
don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, my question in business.
Yeah, it's better.
I want this.
I'm going to commit a crime just so I can get 10 years. I mean, what an advantage in life. Like, you're at
Right.
the same age, but you've got 10 years of wisdom. You've got like another decade under your belt,
Yeah.
but you don't have it on your face. That is so cool.
Well, the thing is, like, why is the application first for
That's
prison?
what I was wondering.
This seems
They-
just cool in general.
When you watch the video, at the very end it says, and we can help people with PTSD. But the first thing is like the whole pitch is
Why
for
don't we just
prison.
help anybody?
Yeah,
like,
I know, I don't
increase
know.
the market size
I
here.
don't know.
So it's like a spa for your brain. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe. But
That should be their market wedge, actually. Let's get out of the prison system, guys. If I'm going to coach these guys, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Seriously,
This is what
like
you
real
get
time
at.
coaching.
Join Hype membership, and then you
and
get
I'm
a call.
gonna
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna let's give them a pitch back.
Yeah.
Okay, you're investors.
Right.
They're coming to you with this whole prison system. We're going to rehabilitate people through 10 minutes, not 10 years. We're going to recondition their mind. They're going to come up with way more empathy. We say, guys, we hear what you're saying. Love parts of it, hate parts of it. We're going to be real honest with you. What if we focus this more to the health and development
There it is.
market more than the rehabilitation of criminals market? Let's keep criminals locked up, and let's go to the Orange County, and let's, instead of spa, let's do spa for the mind. Let's get some download. What do you want to learn? A language?
Boom.
Done. 10 minutes.
Boom.
What do you want to learn? A business? Boom, 10 minutes. What do you want to learn? History? Boom, 10 minutes. Man, if you could create that, you could charge. You could charge.
You
I mean-
described the Matrix, right? Like this is
Exactly.
this is the movie.
I love that. Kung Fu?
Yeah, done.
Done. I know Kung Fu. Yeah, that's exactly right.
What would you want to do if this company existed?
Kung Fu.
And that's the first thing you would do.
Yeah, probably something like that. I mean, that'd be cool. Imagine if you could just come and go, now I want to
Yeah,
fight
but
somebody.
your strength hasn't changed.
But skill, you know,
Skill? Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, you're right. I think the knowledge. No, okay, I'll be practical. I would say Italian.
I was gonna say language.
I'd probably say Italian.
I think language is so cool.
That's really cool.
I'd probably just go with it. What language would you pick?
I'll pick Italian.
But you can just do all of
100%.
them. It's just 10 more minutes.
No.
But we have
No,
Italian
no, sorry.
campuses. Like it's a beautiful language.
Let's have some.
only one?
Let's set some limits,
okay,
man.
got it,
Otherwise,
fair
that's
enough.
not fun.
That's
all right?
true. That's true. Okay.
If you're picking language, what is it? Do you want to speak Australian? Because you have an
I
Australian
would
life.
love to. I would love to.
Yeah.
Actually. Just like the slang.
Yeah, because you probably are confused at half of the
Brekkie.
stuff she
Yeah,
says.
yeah.
Yeah,
Every
but-
time I go, I learn a few more words.
Yeah.
Arvo.
Arvo, yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's it. I lost them all. That was it. That
You
was
need
all.
this.
Yeah, I need. Yeah, I need that. I'm gonna message them. But they came with the next question. I saw an article by a church. It said, "Will AI make people reconsider Christianity?" And so the idea was that we're getting so close to the theoretical limit of what humanity really is, and AI can generate content that seems so close to that, right? And we're getting close to humanoids that are going to look just like us, content that's coming out of them that sounds just like us. I was just watching this clip of Dave Chappelle, if you know who he is. They used AI he's a stand-up comedian. They used AI to generate content in his style. They used AI to generate video of him saying it in that style with the same cadence. And it sounded exactly, the jokes were, hit or miss. But, every comedian has some hit or miss jokes. And it seems like we're getting to that point. And so the article was kind of positioning, how do we separate that, where it's now people are not realizing what is true humanity, and then how do you distinguish what the soul is in that.
Well, you're going to go real deep for a live podcast. Look, I think that all the myths that we have about AI, I think they're all in that dreamscape at the moment. I think
Totally.
the reality of it, what it actually is going to be, is way more disappointing if you think it's going to
For sure.
really confuse your sense of what is what's consciousness and what's feeling and what's emotion. I'm not really a anti-humanoids or anything. I'm actually kind of looking forward to one because I've got a lot of tasks around the house that I think what advantage AI is going to serve me is in doing the things I don't want to do. I don't want AI songwriting because I like songwriting. I don't want AI doing designing and creativity because I like that kind of stuff.
Right.
What I want it to do is mow the flipping lawn. I want it to
Amen.
walk my dog. I want it to do the tasks that I don't want to do. And if that requires a humanoid, I'm for it. I do also know that society is a lot of society, not society at all, a lot of society is very, well, it's probably just a minority, to be honest with you, of society that ends up getting these fixation of feelings towards objects or, something like that. So, of course, there are going to be some negativities with everything. Take social media, for example. It can take a strong person into a weak state if you become dependent on it. But at the same time, we can't just get rid of social media because it is now corrosive to people's soul. It's a good opportunity to develop disciplines around how much screen time it's in your control, or are you controlled by this? And I think with everything, you still have a human decision. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to AI, is AI going to take over the world? I mean, let's just settle down a little bit. I think the reality of it is going to be far less impactful than the dreamscape of it.
Yeah, and I think we're a lot further away from some of these things than people think, because we've been working on self-driving cars for the last decade plus, and 15, 16-year-olds can still drive better than self-driving.
Yeah.
Right? And so the ability of a human still far outweighs where AI is currently. And I think when people think about the fear of AI in church, they're thinking about Terminator now becoming the pastor, right? Singularity. And I don't think that's actually going to be the prominent way that AI is going to be used in the church. I actually think that AI, to Pastor Adam's point, is going to be less prominent in things that we love to do. I think AI is going to be less prominent in the worship experience, and AI though will empower our back office.
Yes.
Right? AI will become the new CFO. AI will become the new reporting function.
Correct.
AI will do the back office administrative things to level up the operators of the church to make them more effective at their job so they can do creativity, they can do outreach, they can do ministry. And in the era of meta, in the era of AI, in the era of deep fakes with that Dave Chappelle example, I actually believe that that's going to cause in real life church to be held at a premium.
Yeah.
Because there's physical impartation. In an era of deep fake, what's actually going to happen is you're not going to know what's real online. The only way to verify is this. The only way to verify is to actually have a transference, a physical impartation, and that's actually going to be held at a premium. So I think there's going to be a whole swing back, right? From, okay, the church is online, the future of church is online. I mean, we will use online as a tool, but the future of church is in person.
Yeah, and I think you got to pick what is it that in a church experience you want in person. Well, you definitely want pastoral, you want a preaching, you want worship, but does it really matter if the person following you up and thanking you for coming and taking you on your next step is an actual real person?
Exactly.
Or is it the intention? Like if you get a phone call from a follow-up team member and they're like, hey, I'm so glad you came to church today and really hope that you enjoyed the sermon as much as we did. We'd love to get you connected to the community and get you on your next steps into this community. Does that really matter if that's a actual person or if it's AI bot kind of having that conversation with you, as long as it gets you the intention of being followed up and into your next step?
Yeah.
I think that is definitely an area that AI can be enhancing the church, maximizing that connection point and minimizing fall-off rate. But I don't think it's going to replace the pastor.
No, and I think that AI of the future is actually going to look less like Terminator and more like Jarvis.
Yes.
Right? It's going to look like more of what Iron Man had. It's going to be the assistant. It's going to be the agent. It's going to be the advocate. It's going to be the helper to make you more effective. If our iPhones made us 2 times more effective, AI is going to make us 10 times more effective in what we're called to do.
Yeah, no, and I think you touched on something about, what the things that AI is going to replace, and it's a nice segue into this new trend that's going on. We talked about DEI on the podcast before. There's this new trend going on called MEI.
MEI, meritocracy.
Merit, excellence, and intelligence. And if you don't know what DEI is, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so it's like the kind of principles of how you build your team. And so Alexander Wang, who is the CEO of Scale, he's the one that coined this.
Yep.
MEI, and so now it's getting backed by a lot of other founders. So I'm just curious what you guys think. You guys have been building, big teams, big, large organizations. How have you guys gone through the cycles of when DEI first got, kind of became the big thing, and then now, what do you guys think about
Well, we
MEI?
never went through the cycle.
Okay.
Right. We never went through the cycle. It's hilarious, right? That MEI is going viral,
Right.
and people are like jumping on this bandwagon. It's like common sense. It's like literally the whole idea is, hey, this is going to be a crazy idea. What if when we interview, we pick the most qualified person?
Crazy.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And so it is funny. I do think that there is a wave of rationality that's coming back in the country, and I do think it was because of certain courageous people that pioneered the hopefully end of cancel culture and things like that, so that we can have truly free speech. But some of this is all of it is elevating just rational thinking again, and so I like it. It's also a little bit funny because it seems like common sense. I don't know what your take is. Pastor Arun. He doesn't want to give
This
us
is good. Let it rip.
No, I mean, this is the thing that triggers me the most in life. I'll be honest with you. I feel like I'm in stupid land a lot of the time, and just persevering with an idiocracy more than anything. Because we've been talking about this since the day we started HypePod, that a merit-based system is really at the heart of every smart person building a company. And nobody ever believed in DEI. They were just virtue signaling. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to actually build our company. No, it was like, hey, let's just write off a swath of money just so that we can appear and appease people. But let's backfill it with people actually going to do the work. So it wasn't like they replaced doers with diversity hires. They just added diversity hires to make an appearance. And so what we've got is we've got a permission, enough bold people in the industry that have taken the hit of maybe some backlash, and then you've got a whole bunch of people that are going to follow suit now and go, oh yeah, no, we're MEI as well. When the reality is, I think what frustrates me about this is when we actually set something in society and culture and everyone is too weak to actually stand up for what's right. And we're gonna hire based on, an appearance, or we're gonna hire based on the fact that we just feel like there's undervalued. Now, in some areas, I think that we have talked about this before. You need to go back and listen to some HypePods, that there are certain areas that are underserved that actually bring a unique perspective. And I feel like that actually is an important area, but not just because we need, a white male here and a black female here, and we need Hispanic here, and we need Asian here, and so we just got all the colors, and so we feel good about ourselves. That's actually, or to, pay retributions for our past. I just think at the end of the day, you're overstepping people who are actually highly qualified to put in the work just to cover the bases.
I actually think that meritocracy believes in diversity. I don't think
Correct.
they have to be opposed.
Exactly.
Right? You look at Vive Church, you look at the people in leadership at Vive Church, right? The best people are in place, and as a byproduct, there is diversity.
And my thing is, you should be offended if you are hired based on anything except competence. Like, it should be a offense to you as the person. If you are hired under a DEI role, you should go, hang on, can I just get hired for my qualifications? Can I get hired for my brains and my competency, not because I feel a gap in your color palette?
And I think this is an interesting principle that goes deeper, because it is the way that you approach solving problems, right? When you identify a problem, are you actually coming at it from like a fear-based position? Are you coming at it from a limited perspective or a limitation time, perspective? And I just think that it's the same thing in church, right? People that have church hurt, their conclusion is, I'm going to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah. Right.
All of a sudden I have church hurt. All of a sudden the construct of church is now not the solution. No. Well, hey, how do we come to that conclusion? Was it actually based out of hurt and fear and not rational thinking and clear thinking, maybe we need to mend the hurt first. Maybe we need to actually have healing to the hurt first so that we can think clearly to come up with now then the best solution for the problem identified.
Yeah, I think that's something that happens when you have these kind of headlines that you follow instead of like understanding the real root problem that's beneath it. Same thing happens with crypto. You know, you kind of hear all the scams, all the hype, all the pump and dump schemes, but there's like actually real core infrastructure that people are working on, I promise. And so, but there's a lot of that there that people just throw it out because they read an article and that's all it is. And I feel like DEI was kind of an overcorrection in that way. And I think the people that are pushing back on MEI is they're afraid it's going to be an overcorrection back the other way. When what you said is it's really both, right? There's no reason that it can't have diversity but also have merit at the same time.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
What do you mean it's both?
There's no reason to not include somebody. Like
No reason to not, based on their pedigree, their background.
Right. Yeah.
No, but you should be approaching, I mean, given your industry, there's going to be different requirements, right?
Yeah.
What you need in a candidate. When I'm looking at hiring for the church, I'm looking at character. I'm looking at the things I can't develop. So on my radar, skill is a lot lower than character. Because I can develop skill, I can't develop character. So I'm looking at what can I develop and what can't I develop. And but in another industry, skill is a definite requirement. If you're a pilot, skill, you might be cheating on your taxes, but can you fly the plane? Right? So that industry requires a different set of resume, right? But in the church, character and integrity and anointing ranks so high that probably don't at Google, right? So given the industry, I think the approach still is you have to have your set of what actually is the best person for that position, and then that determines what you hire. Each one of them is a meritable amount of measurement.
Yeah, and people try to control the outcome and they ignored the origin.
Yeah.
Right? And so let's be real. Let's real talk. When I started at Google, most of our engineers were Chinese and Indian. But then when I understand their culture more, math and science and STEM is highlighted since the very origin of their upbringing. So that there's a disproportionate amount of people. Okay, cool. Well, if I'm coming from a Filipino family and I don't see software engineers that look like me, I have to go back to the origin, not try to shortcut over here and try to control the outcome and twist the outcome, right? But if I go back and I address the origin and I train my kids on STEM, if I make that a highlight, a value, a virtue in our household, then all of a sudden the outcomes over time will start to shift, right? Because we're now raising up just best-in-class software developers or whatever industry we're focused on.
That's really good. I want to switch topics really quick on kind of like more of like a teaching topic as we kind of go into this. Okay. And it came around a sermon you did 3 weeks ago when you talked about you mentioned this line in your sermon. You said freedom without purpose is waste.
Yes.
And I just wanted to talk about purpose. I wanted to talk about how you guys define purpose, how you guys distinguish between that and like goals that you have in life.
Vance, you want to start?
I mean, I'm a big believer in the purpose economy. I believe that if you're going to compete in building an organization and building a company, whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit, your competitive advantage will be understanding that we are heading into a huge exponential effect in terms of what I call the purpose economy. That is people like millennials and the next generations that are not just going to settle for the compensation package, but they want meaning to their money. They want meaning to their work. They want a deeper purpose for their lives. And so it's just Maslow's hierarchy, right? If we want to take a psychological lens, because our parents and our grandparents didn't necessarily have the wrong mindset. They were just on the lower rungs because they needed to create safety and security. Yep. They came from places of world wars. They came from places of economic uncertainty. Correct. And so that's why the American dream used to be a white picket fence in the suburbs, because it represented safety and security. But if you meet a millennial, and we have a lot of millennials at Vive Church here at Amen Conference and in the Hype Network, the American dream is no longer a white picket fence and a home in the suburb. The American dream is actually a selfie in Santorini. It's actually a Michelin star restaurant experience, right? What I'm saying is that, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that millennials
I'm
want
saying it's wrong.
meaning. Yeah.
I'll say it's wrong. I'll just go ahead and say it's wrong.
Well, millennials want meaning, right? And so what I'm saying is that if the church doesn't actually give millennials meaning, they will find it on their own.
Right.
And so we have to leverage the purpose economy, and we have to put at the forefront in front of people the highest purpose, the name above all names, the greatest mission of all time, the great commission, right, that we get to do with God. And then with that, we leverage already what's happening with people, with humanity, is they want purpose.
Exactly. And I mean, that's well articulated. I think if you want to categorize purpose and goals, I would say that purpose is your drive, and goals are your measure markers. Am I making ground? Am I actually just burning rubber on the same spot, wasting a lot of energy, or am I actually getting traction in the purpose? But having a purpose will be your true north. Your purpose will be the momentum behind your life. So even when it comes to building a company, when it comes to having a family, all of those should align with your purpose. And that's actually what's driving you to actually get up each day. That's what's driving you to put the effort in. That's what's driving you to, when you could, just maybe waste time, decide, no, I ain't wasting time anymore because I got a purpose. Without purpose, you'll literally fumble around, and it takes a while to actually get anything done. So purpose, for, I think, what Vance articulated really good, for Gen Z, especially, we're going to see your purpose, if it's not adapted from God, if it's not God-given, like you haven't realized what God's purpose is for your life, you'll develop it off what the society tells you should have your purpose on.
Well, you have Gen Z daughters. So how is that, like in real time? How are you helping shape that purpose, and how are you helping shape them in their direction?
Well, I think that this is where I think the structure of the home becomes so important in a purpose realization process.
Yes.
Because if you're a parent, as young as your kids can talk and dialogue with you, you should be actually having, don't ask them questions about who they are, tell them who they are.
Good.
So what you want to do is you want to preload their identity.
Beautiful.
Okay, and we talk about this all the time. As soon as our daughters were cognizant and they could actually repeat things, we would put rhymes together every day. I would take them to school. We'd talk about what Smallcombe girls are. We're confident, caring, loving, and kind. We would literally repeat it. We would sing it, like, because that's what they did on Play School, and that's what they did on all these kids shows. Everything was a song, and they'd sing these songs. So I'm like, let me get my song into them so that it's hardwiring their brain. And it's now the proof is in the fact that they're teenagers, and you're going to see my daughters leading worship on stage at 17 years old. At 17 years old, if you put a microphone in my hand, I would have been like freaked out. But they just got this inbuilt confidence. Where did that come from? I brainwashed them.
And today they're still singing those songs of identity.
They're still
just from a different perspective.
Exactly. And we brainwashed them, which is essential because the world is making their brain toxic, and their brain is getting dirty. And so someone needs to wash it, and it's washed with the word. It's washed with life. It's washed with identity, just cleansing their mind. And so if you're not brainwashing your kids, the world will brainwash them. So your purpose will always come out of identity.
Good.
Identity. Look at Jesus. When Jesus was baptized, before he began his mission, up out of the water, it says the Holy Spirit came upon him, and a voice from heaven said, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." That was the activation gun for his ministry. It started with identity.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome. And I just wanted to touch on something you said. So when I was like thinking about talking about this on the podcast, I was thinking, as Christians, do we all just end up with the same purpose? But then you said purpose is different for all of us, and what that really looks like. Could you just talk a little bit more about how that is?
Yeah, I think the purpose, I mean, there is a grand purpose. I mean, we're going to advance the kingdom of God. We're going to bring redemption to humanity. We're going to go into all the world and baptize everybody in the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Okay, so we've got the Great Commission. So the way you work out that purpose is indicative to the gifts and the talents that God has put in you.
There it is.
Okay, so this is how good God is, that he has given each of us distinct gifts, distinct talents
There it is.
that are actually connected to his purpose. He doesn't give any gifts separate that aren't actually useful for his purpose. Okay? So that doesn't mean you can't use his gifts for your purpose, but they're actually intended to be used for his purpose. So as good as your gifts are used for your purpose, when you actually begin to direct them for his purpose, they are accelerated and magnified. So when you see someone doing something spectacular for God, it's not that they're necessarily more gifted than you. They've just found a purpose of God's purpose for
Anointed.
their gifts,
Yeah.
where you're trying to use your gifts for your purpose. I mean, you think of some of the greatest greatest singers. Okay, imagine if they were worship leaders.
Wow.
What they've taken is they've taken a gift of singing and they're using it to serve self. Now, that's what Satan did. He was meant to orchestrate the worship of heaven and direct it to God, but he
Right.
used it for self.
Yeah.
That's where Lucifer became Satan. Now, when we actually realize that, man, this wasn't about self-promotion, this was about glorifying God,
Yep.
then that's when it actually holds power. You might impress somebody with your gift, but you will never set anybody free unless it's actually done for the purpose of God.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
really good.
and I think it even like if you broaden the aperture a little bit, the thing that we were told, Pastor Adam, at least my mom told me, I could be whoever I want to be.
Well,
I can do whatever I want to do.
That's a lie.
Well, and you preached a message before that, if you said you wanted to be an NBA player, you literally are not going to be.
I'm literally not going to get around on.
And so it's kind of like a false type of wisdom or direction.
Yeah, I think it's
because it doesn't tell the whole story.
I think that's one of the things that is really maybe a good part to put into your parenting. Don't do stupid stuff. Like, don't say you can be anything you want to be, because you literally can't.
You literally can't.
Okay? Okay, my daughters weren't born in America. You cannot be the president, okay? There are real
right.
life limitations. So what's better than saying you can be anything you want to be? Find out their gifts and their passions and direct them. Don't just give them a blank canvas because you don't have the creativity to put the work in as a parent and help direct them in life. Just saying you can be anything you want to be is literally you getting, I'm going to be lazy, and just you come up with it. If you let your kids come up with it, they're actually going to fall short of what you believe that they can be. Okay, just think about yourself. Have you ever had someone compliment you and you're like, it feels awkward? Because you live with your inadequacies, you live with your fears, you live with your dialogue in your mind that is telling you you're less than. But I get to live outside of your brain, I get to live outside of your lived experience, and I get to see you with the purity of who God called you to be. So I'm always going to call you higher than you're going to call yourself higher. That's what we do as a parent. We're going to call our kids to something productive. Now, the purity that you have to have as a parent is to direct them, not to live vicariously through them. Okay, so not to say, hey, do what I want to do, but discover their unique gifts and start to. My daughters, the favorite thing to do is to sit down with me and they say, Dad, tell me about me. They still do it.
Wow.
They tell me what I'm good at. And they just lap it up like it's like one of my dogs just going for a run drinking water. Like they're just like lapping it up, and I can see it real time, building their confidence, building their identity. But like I saw this epic. I think it was a reel, and my daughter sent it to me, in fact, and it was this girl, and she's on this reel, and she's talking about, her really like crazy sexual life and how many partners she's had, and then it flipped this other girl saying, "Girl, I get you. I'd be that too if I didn't have my annoying father just reminding me of this sentence my whole life. I love you." And I'm like, it was such a good burn because you thought you were awesome, but you just didn't have a dad that told you loved. You missed out on the formative years of a loving father telling you you're awesome, you're incredible, you don't need to find love in all these men. You can find love in the Father God. You can find love in one man. You can actually be a whole person. And I feel like the purpose of God, this is actually true freedom, by the way. When I talked about freedom wasted is when you actually don't use your freedom for purpose. When you're not free from your just bound state and you actually just, your desire is just to be free from anything, then you're actually not free from anything, you're bound to everything. You literally, to be free is to actually live a purpose that God calls you to live.
So good.
I don't want to stop preaching, but
Oh yeah, no. Actually,
we're doing a pod.
I'm gonna keep it going because
Okay.
this is actually something that I think could unlock a lot of people in your careers as well. Because you talked about purpose being your identity, and you have a gift that allows you to, enact this. But sometimes what ends up happening is like if you're so driven towards your career starts to become your identity. And I
Right.
wonder how you guys guard against that happening, against you serving yourself when you're you feel like it's for the good. I'm driven. This is my thing. I'm gonna build it. But how do you guard against it?
Generosity.
Oh, interesting.
You have to have an outlet. I actually learned from Pastor Jurgen last night that in the Middle East there is the Dead Sea and then there is the Sea of Galilee. The difference is that nothing can live in the Dead Sea, but in the Sea of Galilee things flourish. They both get water from the Jordan. So what's the difference between the Dead Sea and the Sea of Galilee? The Sea of Galilee has an outlet. And so you need an outlet, and it's called generosity. If you're going to be able to maintain your purpose, that's not self-serving. You got to know how to take what you have, what you're building, and how it's going to be oriented to giving, right? And so I think we get conflated sometimes on purpose, especially our generation. We actually think we're talking about purpose, but we're talking about status. We think we're talking about purpose, but we're actually talking about prominence. So we crave prominence and we crave status, and we're actually shortcutting ourselves from the deeper purpose. That's why we have to post everything and self-puff ourselves up about everything, and everything has to be known of what we're doing, right? And we have no outlet for giving. Right? And so in the Bible, in John, when Jesus died, there's a story of Joseph of Arimathea. And what's so interesting about this story, it's one of the craziest stories of generosity, because the Bible says that Joseph of Arimathea actually gave his tomb for Jesus to be buried in, right? Advocated to get Jesus's body and then gave his tomb. Why that's so crazy is because in Jewish custom, your tomb was your sign of status. Your tomb, by the way, he gave a non-cash asset, but your tomb was your sign of prominence. And what he was showcasing is that in my generosity, because I had an encounter with Jesus and he changed my life, I'm gonna lay down my status, I'm gonna lay down my prominence, and not because it's gonna even do anything, not because it was gonna do anything from the ministry. Jesus was dead. But as a worshipful act, I'm just gonna dedicate my status and my prominence at the feet of Jesus, and now he's written in the Bible. And consequently, he's now has a place of prominence in the New Testament.
Anything you want to add, Pastor?
Remind me the question, because that was just really good.
Yeah, that was just like preaching.
Yeah.
No, I forgot.
But I lost my way in the question.
Yeah, no, I think I was just talking about how do you guard yourself against, just let's like simplify it, your career becoming your identity, basically. But yeah.
I think...
Or your
look,
purpose becoming
your purpose.
selfish,
Yeah, your purpose.
essentially.
I think, you don't want it to be self-serving, you want it to be God-serving, but it is going to outwork in a function of some form.
For sure.
So you're not going to escape a connection between an actual career or a direction and your purpose. God is going to couple them together. So, I don't think ultimately the way God's going to, but that's a vehicle, and that could change because your purpose is in who you are in those settings. Okay, so it's who am I as a pastor?
Good.
Okay, my purpose isn't a pastor, it's who am I as a pastor? Who am I as a father? I've got many different roles. My career is just one of them, right? And so I think that as long as it's serving God, even in business, then it really comes back to identity. Do I see myself as an engineer? Do I see myself as a, whatever it is? Or do I see myself as a child of God at first, and then this is the way I outwork that calling?
Yeah. Before we finish, we got 5 minutes left, but I was watching an interview with Tim Cook, and somebody asked him, what do you think your legacy is, or what do you want your legacy to be? I'm just curious if you guys have ever thought about that and what you guys think your legacy is or want it to be.
Oh yeah, I mean I've thought about it a lot. I want. So I would say at the top of my tombstone would be awesome husband and killer dad. That would be
So cool.
Anything after that's just a bonus.
I think a previous version of me would have said something different, and it would have been super aligned to business. But I think my answer is a lot closer to Pastor Adam's now, understanding the mirage of what business can be. You know what I mean? It's just a tool.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a means to be able to acquire, hopefully, wealth, to be able to be blessed, to be a blessing, to have an outlet to grow the kingdom. And so at the end of the day, the best legacy is your family. And that's actually God's original people, the Jewish people. That's how they think about things. They actually don't create visions for one generation. They have multi-generational visions.
Exactly.
Right? They create visions, and this is Vive Church. Vive Church has adopted that model, that we're not going to be able to accomplish the vision letter in our lifetime. It is inherently, we're going to be able to do a lot, but it is inherently structured to where our kids are going to have to rise up and take the baton into the future generations.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you realize that whether it's if you feel like you're in full-time ministry or you're in business, you still have a ministry, which is your family. Your
So good.
I'm really fundamental in this, that your purpose on earth is to procreate. That
Yeah.
your purpose is not to be single your whole life, okay? Your purpose is to get married and have children. That is like the primary mandate from God. Go forth and multiply. Okay, so then have 3 kids at least, by the way. Just letting you know, because right now you're replacing yourself. You're not multiplying. Anyway, we won't go down that tangent. But just do your best effort. In other words, okay. But really, otherwise you're still living for self. Okay, you might be living for God, but you're actually not achieving the purpose to populate the earth and breed more of you. Now, what that becomes really significant is actually when you are passing on that mandate to your family. That's your first ministry. It's actually a sign of success if you can actually facilitate a family really well, and that's that. What would be the it doesn't mean you can't do excellent things outside of that, like build businesses and have a whole bunch of fun, have some cool hobbies, shoot guns, or whatever it is that you like to do. But to have all that stuff and have a busted, broken family, none of that would have value. But if you have a whole family and they are following Jesus, and you've built that well, everything else is awesome. So you can have everything or you can have nothing.
So good.
Everything.
So
really
good. I heard once that if you want to get close to God, then stay single. If you want to learn how to be like Jesus and lay down your life and be crucified, get married and have kids.
You know what's funny? We're this week we're at Amen Experience, and we have got some. I'm just looking around the church. We've got some incredible single folk.
Hey.
And I'm wondering, are they aware that this is the perfect week to end
Perfect
that
week.
season? Do you know what I mean? Like to end that season and start a new season. Like, I don't know if the single folk need help, but I keep running into single folk and I'm saying, hey, have you met anybody? And they're like, nah. And I'm like, hang on, I just met 14 of you. And why aren't you meeting each other?
Right.
So, anyone single here? Just give me a wave. Like, check this out. This is wait.
So good.
This has to be at least half.
No, that's half.
Half.
That's half. And they're like kingdom-minded, entrepreneurial, motivated.
Can I try something else? Can the single folk just stand up for a second?
Oh, wow.
Just stand up for a second.
Hey, some people were bold.
All right.
Some people were bold.
All right.
why you have to
now,
come.
Now I need you to do something.
Look
okay?
around.
Now I need you, while you're standing,
Look
I need
around.
you to assess.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you are not gonna get a better potential pool of business-minded,
It's so true.
faith-filled,
Oh my God.
believing
It's already curated.
people of God who you could potentially just get a coffee with. Now check this
Curated.
out. If nothing else, you get someone to just hear your business plan. But it could be a family plan.
Should you
as well.
start with
I'm
business?
just saying.
Should you start with business?
Yeah,
or-
start light.
Start light. Yeah.
Start light. Start with
Start with
crypto.
your pitch.
Next year we'll have an app.
Yeah.
Next year we'll have an app.
Finally, the Vive
Yeah.
Hive app. Find your
Yeah.
honey. Find your honey.
Find your honey.
Find your honey pot.
We'll make a filter
Find your
where
hive, yeah.
where you can filter for tithers,
Oh.
because you want to be sure that they
Then
honor
vision,
God.
vision givers.
Oh man, that is a premium feature. If they're a kingdom
be
builder,
gold elite
And-
status.
oh my, gold elite.
elite.
status.
Oh man, and then you get a dinner with Chef MJ. Oh my gosh, this is going levels. This is
No,
going
it's too much.
levels.
Too much.
Curated
Too much.
dinner.
Goodness.
But one connection away from your breakthrough has
You're
just evolved.
one
Just
Connection
evolved.
away from your marriage, your
Just
breakthrough.
live. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would definitely love next. Yeah, I definitely love to see some bold single people meet some good single people.
So
Yeah.
good.
and fulfill your God-given purpose.
And next year we'll have the first live marriage at the Hype House. I'm just throwing it out there.
And we're talking about arranged. Let's go. Let's go.
I think this is a
Arun.
great place to end it. I was supposed to end 15 seconds ago, but thank you guys for coming out. Please subscribe to the pod if you haven't. And cheers, guys. Great episode.
Cheers.
Love you, Arun.
Love you, man.